And that's how I married in masjid, very simple marriage. She didn't ask a big mahar for like, you know.
Should have known better.
Yeah, it was just, at the time I was broke, so a mushaf was enough. And I got it for free almost.
In truth, what we've built here is really something impactful for the world. But I'll tell you why. Essentially, it's a response to how corrupt the insurance industry is today and how broken it is. And it's an attempt to create a better system of insurance by making it a pure mutual, bringing it back to the way it used to be.
After September 11, we were afraid to be, at the beginning, it was very scary, you know, people were tagging you, trying to attack you. But the reality, the opposite happened. Christian and Jews bringing flour to our coffee shop.
Before we begin, we actually noticed only about 10% of you are subscribed to the podcast. So if you like what you're listening to and you want to hear more from us and see more things Muslim and money related, then please consider subscribing and of course leaving this episode a like and share it with your friends, leave us a comment or a review, because it really, really does help us out and help more people to find us. Thank you. Now back to the show. All right. Morrad, Sherene, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Our first time Muslim Money Talkers on the road in Saudi Arabia.
MashaAllah.
Thank you for having us. Pleasure.
Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome.
And this is my first time with a different co-host who's not actually my brother in the side, he's dying. So dying, welcome to the co-host position.
Thank you.
So we've got one mic, we're going to be sharing between each other, but I hope it will be okay. Inshallah. There's so much we want to ask you about. We come hot off the back of LEAP, which was this 4-day biggest conference in the Middle East. We just finished yesterday. How was that for you guys?
It's very hectic. I'm very tired actually. I'm gonna crash tonight and you won't see me till maybe Sunday or something. Alhamdulillah. And it was great. It was mashallah. Everybody's here. It's incredible to see, you know how Saudi Arabia has been a closed country for a very long time, and then in 2019 they start to open up and now just everybody, the entire world is here. It's incredible.
See that?
Yeah, what was it like compared to last? Was this year like even bigger and better?
Last year was actually kind of a mess, to be honest, because of the traffic, etc. Yeah. And they had moved to this new location for the first time, so they were completely unprepared. This year, I think they did a much better job logistically, which then makes the whole experience better.
Fantastic.
It went well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, they moved from 50, 150, 350. So it's like a startup, literally, you know, they grow so fast. So last year, they literally like everything break down a little bit because that was like, they didn't expect to have that number. And then they learn this year, and mashallah, this year was perfect. You had a multitude of transportation available, Uber and car, limousine, and the aisles were bigger. So no, it was an amazing event. I think they are becoming the event in the globe when it comes to Web2, you know. It's
It comes to Web2, but not
Web2.
Web3 yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. That's why we have our side event during the LEAP event.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's just break right into it. What exactly is Takadao?
Essentially, it's a response to how corrupt the insurance industry is today and how broken it is. And it's an attempt to create a better system of insurance by making it a pure mutual, bringing it back to the way it used to be. So the one-liner is we build a technology that powers mutual insurance communities, or what we call in Arabic Takaful, and it's global from day one, and it's affordable and inclusive, and we create that system where people can now pool their money together, mutually insure one another, own the fund, because we don't own the fund, we simply provide the technology, and benefit one another.
Yeah. What's interesting about what we're doing? First of all, we're going back to the origin of what insurance was all about. You know, when you look at in the past, during the pre-Islamic era, the businessmen, the caravan, they used to actually travel from Yemen all the way to Syria, and they had a pact. And the pact was like, if any of the camels dies, we have to leave not only the camel, but the goods. You cannot carry in the desert. And they agree that if you get penalized, we, the rest of the merchant, when we sell our good, will pay you out. And that principle actually live all the way to the Lloyd. Lloyd actually used the same principle where the merchants in UK, they used to travel and they say that if the boat is in trouble, we got to offload some of the goods. And if we dump your goods when you arrive in the UK, then we also compensate you. What was amazing, it was like community putting money together in order to support one another. No profit-seeking element in the middle. And that's exactly what we do. So going back to the Arab tribe, during the time of the Prophet, he saw that reality in front of him and he didn't, disapprove it or approve it. Later on, during the time of Umar ibn Khattab, actually was encouraged to practice this kind of community coming together for the greater good as a donation, tabarrua,
So is that the idea if something was to happen to the goods would be distributed along the community? Is that the difference?
No. So because the merchants, they would transport their goods across the desert, and at some point they'll have to, the camel will die, and they'll have to leave the goods in the desert. So the other merchants would just pay the person whose goods were left behind.
So yeah, they will collaborate.
Instrument very much.
It was a collab. So like that, if you get penalized this time, next time I support you. So it was like coming together as supporting one another in case of adversity. So in that case, that's the origin actually of Takaful. And I don't like to call ourselves, the insurance. We really go to the origin of Takaful and the origin of the way Takaful has been practiced. Removing every single central command, central authorities and stuff like that control the fund, and going back to the community who own the fund and make the decision. That's why we call it Takaful 3.0.
Just to take that one step further, if you look at insurance generally, it always started as a mutual. It always started as people trying to help one another. They were like, we have this shared risk, and so we put money together and we try to help each other. But what happened was, at some point in the 19th century, they invented actuarial sciences, which is really fancy mathematics. And so a group of people were like, we have this, science, which, science and magic is kind of almost the flip side of the coin. We have this magic trick now where we can accurately predict whether an event is going to happen or not. So now we can bet against it or for it. And this is how insurance was born. A group of people with capital, they're like, we want to bet against the likelihood of this event happening, and we'll take the other side of the bet, which is the people who want the tracts. And then it became a very, very profitable industry as a result. And so you fast forward it to today, it's extremely profitable, $9 trillion industry. It's very cutthroat. They're not in it to help anybody. They're in it to make money. And what ends up happening in the world is that something like half the world is completely uninsured. They lack basic insurance because it's not profitable for the insurance company. The element of protection is not the point. The point is, how can I bet against an event and make money from it?
So you have to, in order to simplify, it's like a casino. The house always win, and you have to lose in order for them to win. That's simple as that. And to make a long story short on that, just recently we just come back from the US. A guy called Luigi in New York just gunned down the head of one of the largest mutual insurance in the US. And that was crazy because, you can see that people started to don't like the insurance and then hating them, and then eventually...
What was crazy was the response from
Yeah.
the public, like how much public support there was for the murder of a man in the street.
Yeah.
In the industry.
I think exactly that was shocking because you see, nobody celebrate the death of an individual, and that was really shocking. And this is really America for you. They went to the extreme. The reality, they were for their own belief. They are doing the same thing to us, because if they don't pay our claim and don't pay our treatment, you're actually killing us.
Absolutely.
So, and that's what. And the funny thing is that this insurance actually, this mutual, added a layer of refuting claim by adding AI.
Using AI.
Using AI, and that was even actually they used to call it delay, delay, and
Deny, delay, and depose.
yeah.
Yes, deny, delay, depose, which was the famous book about it.
Yes,
as well.
Yes.
So that's the problem that you would like to solve. You want to put the power back into the hands of the people when it comes to insurance.
Yeah, so exactly. So what it is that the insurance was supposed to be a public good, okay? That's why it started as a mutual. Eventually, the mutual could not, make profit.
Yeah.
Then you had a private party starting to kick in and taking over all these businesses. And then, as I say, they have to win, and you have to lose in order for them to win. So what we try to do, it's very simple, is putting back the power to the community, creating the protocol, the underwriting, the risk management software technology powered by Takadao, and create any kind of community-based pool of protection fund, starting with the life DAO, the insurance DAO.
So to be clear, Takadao is providing the technology.
Yes.
So you can create your own mutual something on the Takadao network or something.
Definitely.
Okay, so is there like anything like the current mutuals that is already on the network right now?
Yeah, so for us to be realistic, we wanted to prove that we can launch the first DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, who will own the fund and decide what they do with the fund, how they pay claim, and all these kind of things. And then we started as a B2C, but the reality is really a B2B play. So if you have a large community who want to insure against any risk, we can provide the technology for you to do it. So it could be the Paddy Association of Scuba Diving, who are losing tons of money because you have to pay every time you dive an insurance that you never use. 95%, I believe that is, I think this is one of the safest sport in the industry, but you have to still pay a fee to dive an insurance. Imagine they keep this money and roll it up. You could be a homeowner association who wants to be protected against fire, like what happened in California, where actually most of the insurance pull out because they knew of the restriction and they let people with nothing left, no money.
So how would it work for me as a customer who wants to, take advantage of this insurance? Would I sign up to Takadao? I would become part of a DAO, a circle almost, and I would be putting in money in every single month alongside maybe 100 other people, however many people there are in the DAO. And then whenever an event happens to one of us, that pool of funds would be paid out to that individual. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're almost there. So the first thing to be aware of is that there are really two different entities. So there's Takadao, who creates the technology platform, and that essentially powers the other DAO, which today the one that we have is called the Life DAO, which is a life insurance alternative. Now, this is an entity that's not owned by us, nor controlled by us, but it's actually owned by you, the members who've contributed the funds to begin with. So you will contribute the funds, and today with the Life DAO, we have membership starting from $25 to $250 a year. So it's a one-time payment. You become a member, and you're therefore protected. Now, the funds that are contributed by the whole are then invested for a return. Of course, everything is Sharia-compliant, and these returns are then put back into the fund, right? And at some point, if something happens to you, then your family gets a payout. So you tell us who you want your beneficiaries to be.
Oh, I see. So there's two sides of it. Yeah. There's the one side, which is the insurance side, where I pay the $25.
Don't say insurance. We're not in insurance.
I mean, it's a mutual protection.
The protections.
We have to be careful with the word.
I'm paying in once a year.
Yeah.
Alongside many other people.
A membership, yeah.
If something were to happen, for example, in the Life DAO, if someone were to pass away, then the money would be paid out too.
Exactly.
Right.
But the other side of it is that people are investing that money.
No.
No. So the first structure, which is this mutual protection structure, you have this situation where, as you've described, if something happens to you, a part of it goes to pay your family or to give money to your family to support your family, obviously. Now, what happens at the end is, usually, if we do our jobs right, there's going to be money left over. This is what is called underwriting surplus. Traditionally, this is understood by the insurance companies as their profit. Now, in this case, it's actually now redistributed among the members, because it's a fund that's owned by you. Why should it be given to anybody else except you? So it gets redistributed among the members. Now, the investment piece there is simply to make sure that the money doesn't sit and that the money gets, does something useful, which is actually very sunnah. And also to help bolster the balance sheet of the fund, obviously. So the more money there is, the better it is for everybody else. So this is how the structure works.
I just want to add, so you have the concept of, as she mentioned, the money is owned by the participant. Claims are paid. If there's any, after claims are paid, if there's any money left, it goes back to the participant as a whole. That's the concept of Takaful and Tabarru'a. I'm doing a donation to the community. What is very exciting, that beside the business model, is that when you participate to this Tabarru'a donation, you're actually getting ajar of helping a family in needs. So some brothers and sisters are coming, is it halal, haram, about the insurance concept of it, We can discuss this later. But what is important here is that not only you're helping people, so you're getting sadaqah jariyah, because you're helping somebody get education and stuff like that, and the payout is quite sizable. We're not talking just as a burial cost, where we will add. We're actually covering maybe 6 months to a year of livelihood, depending on your age, health, location, yes. And what is important, if we follow actually our religion, you have to prepare for departure for the next life. And what is the most important as a Muslim is to prepare your family in a case of an adversity coming up. One of the most important things as Muslim, we cannot die with debt. Debt needs to be paid. As a matter of fact, the Prophet ﷺ didn't want to pray behind a brother who passed away. He told the companion, go pray. And they reacted, what should we do? Pay his debt and then I follow the janazah. You see the importance of not dying with debt. So it's not about, hey, you know what, I don't care, I live my life, Allah is, but do not depart this world with that. So our fund actually will not only take care of you, he will take care of paying your debt, he will take care of your family as well, and so on and so forth. And I have a tragic story to really share with you that has something that will shock you as Muslim. I came back from California, and I was invited by a friend, African-American brother, and the brother comes to me and said, you know what you're doing is very important for our community. We kind of the poor community in the US. When people become Muslim in the US, especially among the African-American community, the first thing they do, they stop their wife from working outside. So she cannot work and get job outside. So she will stay home and take care of the home. And that can last 20 years. And the tragic story that happened, a couple, a very good brothers, married with a sister, eventually he passes away, okay? And the sister, guess what, has no money to even bury him. And the state will do what? Like they will burn the body if they don't find the money. Why? The brother had no money. She had no work. She could not take care of herself. So overnight, she's like stranded with nothing. And then they had to collect money in other Muslim community in order to pay for the burial costs. And since she was shy and everything, and she could not reach out, the body could have been really disposed and cremated by the city. And the cost of burial is 10 to 15 to 25,000 US dollar, just this. But the reality is there. So the community didn't step in and help out. So what we're doing basically is to provide this tool that make this, great.
All the hidden costs.
Yeah. So coming back to the line down, right? Yeah. Is it like a defined payback or something if the event will happen, or is it like based on what's left in the fund or something like that?
So this is an excellent question. So what we determined right from the start, insurance is a pool of money betting against another pool of money. This is completely haram, right? So from the very beginning, we said, okay, for this to be a true takaful, the only money that can be in the fund must come from the insured or the members themselves. There cannot be any external funding. So that's principle number one. Principle number two is there should be no reinsurance either, because the reinsurance or the retakaful at this point, when they come in, they're also profit seeking. So now you have this problem of, okay, if they are profit seeking, we're going to start denying claims in order to make a profit. So there's no reinsurance either. Purely contributions from the members. All right. Now, to his point, what if you run out of money? That is a problem. So we do not have a defined benefit. What we did, and this is where the technology came in, was we created an algorithm that adjusts in real time to the risk of the fund and to the risk of the individual and the risk of the portfolio as a whole. So we look at the individual who comes into the fund and say, okay, he's X number of years old and he lives in this country and he smokes or he doesn't smoke. And we assign him what is called a benefit multiplier, which means, let's say somebody who is very young and healthy, the benefit multiplier can be somewhere in the 500 to 600x. So for every $1 that he puts in the fund, the family will get between $500 to $600. And it's always a range. And then we look at the portfolio as a whole. We say, okay, what is the distribution of members? Are they heavily young or very, very old or whatever? And at every given cash flow event, we're calculating, okay, what is the expected losses? How many people do we think are going to pass away? And then we're adjusting the benefits. So when you come on the website, actually, which is thelifedao.io, there's a calculator there. You put in your age, your location, etc., and it'll give you an approximate range. It's never a fixed amount, it's a range, because we are saying, okay, this is going to be adjusted up and down, depending on who else enters the fund and what kind of risks are there.
Okay. So it adjusts. It just automatically adjusts depending on the makeup
Exactly.
of the fund at the time. Is that a little bit tricky when you sell that to a customer? Because essentially their payout will vary depending on the other members, effectively. So there's not as much consistency compared to a conventional insurance.
Yeah, so what we do, because it's the other aspect of this, is that it's not freewheeling either. So to do this responsibly, what we do is reserve funds for this scenario in order that it will stay within the range. Now, we do not guarantee this, okay, because you cannot actually guarantee it because it's not Sharia anymore. But we say that we do everything possible to ensure that it stays within this range. So how do we do that? For every dollar that comes in, or every $100, let's say, to make the math easy, we take a protocol fee. So Takadao takes a protocol fee of 22%. Okay, one-time fee. After that, we don't participate in anything with the fund. $78 then goes into the fund, and from this $78, a portion of it is reserved for what is called claims reserves. Another portion is reserved for what is funds reserves, and the rest are used for expenses. Now, these two reserves are varying amounts based on the portfolio risk again. So if you see that the risk is elevated, we're going to reserve more. So if the risk is lower, we're going to reserve less at any given cash flow. And so this helps us calibrate so that you will stay within the range. Now, however, if you have a black swan event, which happens, COVID, right? Then you might fall outside of the range. And we've, figured out another mechanism to solve that, but maybe we will talk about this later.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I guess that's where, because we are so used to buying insurance, right? So we are expecting defined benefits and so on. But I guess that's where the concept of really tabarruk and ta'awun really come in, right? So it's basically you are not buying anything, just putting money for certain company. So we're not expecting anything from it.
You cannot have it all as a Muslim. So if you want a really Sharia-compliant product, that's the product for our community. And the reality is that it's a most fairer way of doing quote-unquote insurance. And actually, non-Muslims also love this concept because they realize that.
Well, I wanted to ask you, how has the traction and the uptake been? What's the split between Muslim but also non-Muslim? Because I can see the appeal for anyone.
Okay.
Maybe let me just go back and say, I want to flesh out this appeal because I think it's very important. A lot of people don't quite see the difference. It's like, oh, you're just another insurance. What's the difference, right? Is it only because it's Sharia? Or is it only because it's Sharia-compliant, so it's good for the Muslims? In truth, what we've built here is really something impactful for the world. And I'll tell you why. Number one, our cost basis is between 5 to 25% of a regular insurance company, which means we can afford to really serve the underserved. Now, we don't have the LifeDAO itself is not looking for profit. So they can, really take those risks which other insurance funds won't. So it's affordable. Now, we've built this on blockchain rails, which means it is very transparent and it builds a lot of trust. But beyond that, it's also global. So I can go to any country and I can take payments from every country because, as you guys in the fintech world know, payments is such a headache, cross-border, and I can work with unbanked people as well. Then the third piece is, again, back to the idea of being borderless. Today, if you try to get life insurance, you're going to have to be a resident in some place. If you want to buy insurance here in Saudi Arabia, you have to be a resident in Saudi Arabia. And guess what? As soon as your iqama or your residence visa expires, they close your bank account, they cancel everything. So you cannot port your insurance with you. I'm pretty sure this is for most of the countries and most insurance vehicles the case. And so we can be borderless in that sense that we are not tied to a specific jurisdiction. You have a membership with the LifeDAO and you can go anywhere in the world. So that's another piece. And of course, the one very key thing which may or may not affect people in the West is inflation. In many parts of the Muslim world, actually Malaysia is also suffering from this. The currency has devalued to the point where if you have an insurance policy, let's say for 1 million ringgit, in 10 years, or in 15 years, when you need it, is it still 100 ringgit?
No.
Right? So using stable coins, we can actually help people hedge against inflation, particularly in places like Africa, Indonesia, Turkey. They don't want an insurance policy that is really worth nothing at the end. So there are all these combination of factors that make our product very attractive.
Yeah.
Not to mention we're digital first, which is to say, no medical exams. You can finish this in 7 minutes. You don't have to take a long time out of your day, and everything gets done.
The way you're describing it, it makes it seem like a no-brainer for someone to sign up to this. But I absolutely get you're not pushing the Sharia narrative as Sharia-compliant fintech. We really understand that as well. You need to make a product that just seems like a good product.
Yeah, I mean, look, we built multiple company before.
Yeah.
And the reality is that build a good product for everyone. Do not discriminate on anything. So the way we do, our DNA is as Muslim, we cannot hide it. Anything we do has to be Sharia compliant.
But have you seen worldwide uptake so far? Because as you say, through the blockchain, you're not restricted to a single geography at all. So has it been global or is it very much in Saudi still?
I'll give you some numbers. We very almost no marketing spend. It's really like grassroots and everything. We launched our fund like the LifeDAO 12 weeks ago. And we need $500,000 to make this fund alive. And we already got 250 in the DAO, pre-launch. People already pre-order the insurance and they're going to be protected in the next 3 months.
50 people?
No, we got like thousands of people coming, yes. And we already secured $250,000. So we're halfway there, pre-launch.
Fantastic.
With no market. Yes, thank you.
That's Draper.
Exactly.
I want to say, look, the thing with distribution, it's very much about trust and about being able to speak to a community. So it is the case that we have the majority of people who are coming to us today are people within our networks and who are exposed to us, who know of us, and they tend to be Muslims. Yes, there's no doubt. But it doesn't. But we do have significant minorities who are not Muslim. They just see the value of it. But as we scale across the, you got to just get one community, a strong community together first, and then you scale out bit by bit. So this early community is very much key for us.
Yeah, and I received since I'm part of a large startup network, digital nomad who have difficulties to get insured and everything. Non-Muslim sign up right away. Say this is exactly what my lifestyle is. I live in Thailand, and they insure because the recipient or beneficiary is back home. And let's assume, they pass away. How do they pay them?
I wanted to ask you about this because famously, I think many of us first heard about you through your incredible appearance on the Meet the Drapers show in Silicon Valley. And obviously, Tim Draper and his family they're not Muslim.
Yeah.
But you guys actually ended up going all the way through that competition and winning
Yeah.
the big cash prize investment. Was it over $1 million?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, actually, he invested in the company before we finished the competition.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after our first pitch, a couple of weeks later, this was at the Leap, by the way, in 2023. A couple of weeks later, they reached out. He got on a call with us. He got on 2 calls with us, and he said,
Yeah.
I'm investing.
Wow.
This was prior to us going,
Yeah.
before the show.
So what did he see the ability?
Look, I tell you something. Look, we experienced founders. We built a successful startup in the region. We were part of the top startup that were launching with Karim, Fetcher, Mel2.com, which were acquired by IKEA Group in Saudi Arabia.
So what was that startup? What did it do?
It was like a peer-to-peer marketplace for secondhand. You could sell your stuff, and we take care of the payment and the delivery. And we were very innovative at the time, like 10 years ago. But so on my cap table, I know everybody in town. You ask me any names, I know all the VC because my previous startup had most of the top VC, Right Venture, Shuruk Venture, MEVP, 500 startup. So when we had this amazing, idea of going back to the trenches of building Takadao, I say, wow, with my exit, my cap table friends, it's going to be a piece of cake to raise capital. To be honest, I sit down, she wrote the white paper, together we start looking at it, and I say, khalas. And I went on the road to pitch to all my friends. They're all friends, and by the way, they did an exit with me, so they're happy with my result, and they were happy to talk to me. And there were 3 letters and 1 number that was blocking them. 3 letters and 1 number.
What?
WEB and number 3. They say, remove those 3 letters and 1 number, and I invest in you.
So Web3 was still the big bet.
That was the day, like, they didn't get it.
Was it at the time of like the crypto bubble burst?
Exactly, we were during the bear market, everything was falling. Everything was falling, and they were unaware about the things. The only thing they could hear, the bad news, the scam, FTX. We were building during all those scandals. But the reality, the best Web3 company are built during the bear market, not the bull market. Yeah. So we were like in total opposite. So I got like maybe 30, 40 no's. And some of them, they were clueless about blockchain, technology, smart contract. Some of them came back and told me Bitcoin is a CIA creation. I was like, okay, my God, khalas. The region was like not for us. Thankfully, she was competing at the Leap, where she win. The Leap, the first, yes. She win the competition there, and alhamdulillah, we got some cash. And then Team Draper was coming in town. And we had this like maybe 2-3 days window to sign up, because they say, hey, you guys should sign up, Team Draper. And I was like, after 30 no's, I'm like, Khalilullah, I'm not going to even bother with that guy, you know. But that was ni'mah, you know, when God decides something, he decided. And actually, he brought us Mr. Bitcoin in town. Imagine, Riyadh was able to, I didn't need to go to Silicon Valley. Allah, when he decides something, he brought us the best possible investor that could actually give us the money to get. So she pitched the competition. And actually, I was not even feeling that nothing's going to happen. The guy, Tim, is like, he got it. That's exactly the type of investor you want. He understands Web3, he understands blockchain.
He was known as a Web3 investor already.
He's a Mr. Bitcoin. So he became a multi-billionaire because of that fact.
Did the Sharia aspect interest him at all, or was that
Good question.
not
No.
even a factor?
So you have 2 types of VC. You have the formal VC, which is mainly what's happening in the region, unfortunately. They're catching up. If there's something happening, they try to follow. And you have the visionary VC. And as a founder, you want those VC. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the headache, the bigger the things, the more excited they become. And that's the type of VC. So when Tim Draper heard what she was talking about, DAO, blockchain, decentralization, killing the insurance industry, that was Korhan to his ear. You know. He stand up. He stand up and he's like, hey, I want to get in. And as she say, we already closed the deal. In when you were standing, and you can watch the video, we closed the deal. She won the competition. A week later, phone call and debate. Of course, it's Team Draper. And he's like, Morrad, you know, I want to invest. This is how much I want to make. Take it or leave it. And we had a little bit of clash. And then I say, pay me in Bitcoin half, pay me. So I was trying to get his Bitcoin at the time. And he's like, no way, not going to get my Bitcoin.
I wish we did.
Yeah. Yes. Because, and then the one question Tim had, that was kind of an interesting question, because he came to me and he's like, I have one question as a non-Muslim, because can I invest in Sharia-compliant?
Sharia-compliant.
Yeah, that's what they say. I said, of course, there's no problem. You can be an investor. I said, the only
No,
thing.
he said, can I join the fund?
Can I join the fund?
That's what he said, like the life.
The live DAO and everything. I said, of course. Second, I say, but one thing I want from you is that you have to invest in the Sharia compliance way with us. Imagine many VC here who are Muslim and everything, they run the show. When I told them remove this clause because it's not Sharia compliant, they said, no, we're afraid to remove this clause because American VC, they come along and non-Muslims say, remove everything that can block you for you to succeed. So yeah, a very good VC, a very good guy. And I think the best VC you can get. And it's not easy to get his money back.
Thank you for listening to Muslim Money Talk. If you like what you've heard so far, you might be interested in checking out what we do at Kestrl, the Muslim Money app. Kestrl is a service that helps Muslims who want to grow their wealth without having to compromise, whether it's on their belief or user experience or price. I founded Kestrl because of how fed up I was at how poor Islamic financial services were in this country. Often people didn't use them because of how bad the user experience or customer service, and indeed how high in price they were. So Kestrl was the answer to that. If you download the Kestrl app today, it can help you by creating a budgeting plan. Plug in whatever bank account you have and it will create an auto budget just for you. You can then tell us what goals you're saving for and we'll save towards them automatically into pots. And then crucially, link you towards Sharia-compliant investment and savings products as well. So download Kestrl today and try it out for yourself. Now back to the podcast.
There was a very interesting moment in the show where I remember where I think it was Tim Draper's father, I think, when Sharene you were pitching, and I think he said something along the lines of, I don't think you should be the face pitching because your face is covered.
Yes, because there's no face.
You handled yourself so well, but what were you feeling in that moment? Because I assume it was all unscripted, it was just in the moment.
You know what? Funnily enough, this happens to me on a regular basis. And it doesn't happen, but usually it doesn't happen on stage, and usually it's a Muslim who's telling me this.
Really?
Very often, yeah.
When you
No, not in Saudi Arabia.
Much here, not in Saudi Arabia, but in a previous startup in Dubai, etc., we would get these comments a lot. And even Morrad with the beard.
Yeah.
This was before beards were fashionable.
Yeah.
So I think
People when he's staring.
exactly before beards were like cool. So I wasn't terribly thrown off by it. And you know, as a Niqabi, I'm always aware of it. You know, I'm always aware of the impression that I make on people. So I do make an extra effort to, overcome this. So I think it's not something I was unprepared for, actually.
Yeah, no, look, coming from a non-Muslim, to ask this question, to be honest, is legitimate.
I agree.
So if he's an old man, and he didn't actually try to attack the religion, alhamdulillah, you're talking about an American guy who was an advisor to multiple presidents, so he's not a small guy.
Yeah, no, I think...
but the way he approached it, was very in a professional way, and that was it.
I didn't take any issue with it, and I think, Sharene, you put it best in the behind the scenes. You respected him that he addressed the elephant in the room instead of just ignoring it
Exactly.
the whole time, and maybe not engaging and therefore not being interested in investing.
Exactly, correct. And a lot of people, I don't know why people think this way, but how do you actually make da'wah to the rest of the world if you don't want to engage with them? If you get offended if they ask you questions? Or if you simply say, oh, they're not Muslim, so we don't want to engage, we don't want to talk to them. That makes zero sense to me. So the more people ask questions and feel comfortable at asking questions, the better it is.
Yeah, and actually, as she was mentioning, to be honest, when I started in Dubai, among Muslims themselves, they are actually the most prejudiced about your appearance. Muslim practicing Muslim.
First startup is in the
Because look, because if they have the assumption they are managing a fund, they have money in the bank and everything. They are not doing it because they think that, hey, you're not the type of guy, you're too religious looking or whatever. They are looking at the investment and they put in their mind that non-Muslim, we might not invest in your fund or in your startup if you look that way. Actually, it's the opposite, Habibi. You actually yourself bringing less trust. A non-Muslim will trust more Muslim practicing people than a non-Muslim. Is actually the non-Muslim, they look at you and they say, why you don't have a beard? You know, why you don't have a shashia? Why you don't have...
It's not being authentic.
It's not being authentic. And when I tell to young entrepreneur, Muslim, they come to me, they try to look fashion, they try to look that, they try to blend to a non-Muslim. I see you sending a wrong signal. Imagine you are in front of a human being that has no power and you already sold, quote unquote, you didn't. Habibi, be yourself, pitch who you are, what you do, and Allah, first of all, will put hidayah into these people. And then the trust, the non-Muslim actually, they want authentic people. Mm-hmm. And we have it all wrong, this complexity, inferiority complex. I used to have a coffee shop in Los Angeles. Okay? Yeah, I used to have a coffee shop in Los Angeles. In 2001. Yeah.
No, we started it together.
Together.
That was our first business.
Is Takadao your third business together? Fourth?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. So the coffee shop was the first in LA?
Yes.
And then we did candy. We imported it from Malaysia, Indonesia to Europe. Halal candy.
Fruit plus. Yeah, marshmallow, fruit plus, and Yuppie candy. So going back to the coffee shop, okay? It was right during the September 11. Imagine, September 11 happened, and 1 week later, I opened my coffee shop. Okay? I'm an obvious Muslim, beard and everything. When I come back from Jumu'ah, I used to wear the tob and everything. I was only a coffee shop in central LA selling halal food. And all my customers were Jewish, Christian, a very little Muslim, even though it's all halal. Yeah. And I look the way I look. In my library, I had Quran, Mus'haf, in English. And I had template, who is Isa ibn Maryam. So every Christian, they were so, Christian fundamentalists, like they like to talk about Jesus. So I told all the Muslim MSA at the time, bring me template about who's really Jesus, Isa ibn Maryam. So what are you going to do with it?
Pamphlets.
Template. I put them in every single table.
Pamphlets.
Template. So they
Don't say that word anymore.
templates. How did I say?
Pamphlets with a P.
Yeah.
Not
So,
template.
template. So I put the things there, and they were like, "What is this I saw?" And then who is Jesus? And then they come challenge me, and we had a good time. And imagine it's after September 11, when they were looking at every single reason to do something against you as a Muslim. I could not find any, because after September 11, we were afraid to be, at the beginning, it was very scary, you know, people were tagging you, try to attack you. But the reality, the opposite happened, Christian and Jews bringing flour to our coffee shop. Saying like, oh, you know, we feel for you. My coffee shop had few customers at the time. After September, I was packed full of those students coming. And guess what? They could not buy on Barnes & Noble Quran. Yes. I was giving all those Quran that I had in English. And then I called my friend at the Saudi embassy. And I'm like, some student, I say, hey, I need Mus'haf. And they're like, no, leave me alone. I will, we'll in September 11, don't ask me for Quran. What are you going to do with it? I said, I need it because there's we're running out of Quran and people are asking. To tell you the challenge, I was so amazing story. So like I say, be who you are, do your things, treat the people right. You are the best ambassador of your religion. And if you start business-wise, imagine, Malaysia was converted through business trade and everything. Nobody went with a sword to make them Muslim, Indonesian, Indian. So if you give up you as a Muslim, your identity from day one, in the best practical role model, which is business. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best businessman entered Jannah. Imagine the power, because you impact life, people, and everything. So if you're already giving up, you as a young Muslim entrepreneur, this principle, I don't tell you just go and pray and have the Tob and Shema, but be who you are, be authentic. If you hear a Muslim brother telling you, I'm not going to give you money for that, tell him, Ma'as salam, don't take his money. Take the money from a non-Muslim who will give you and support you. Okay, and then move on. And sometimes I laugh because people say, we become famous because Team Draper, we had successful business before, being who we are. Team Draper is a nocta, it's just a small thing. It's a nocta in the history of life, in the history of investment, in the history of anything. It's just a small dot, you know?
Oh, what a beautiful story, how you really flipped a really bad situation on its head, or what could have been a really bad situation. You just had to rely on setting up your own business.
Yeah, it was scary, I swear, you know.
I want to, there's so much I want to know about your guys' backstory as well. Yeah, because, you know, the coffee shop, the sweet business, what you guys are doing in Dubai, and now what you're doing here. But, subhanAllah, it's not often that you see a successful married couple running not just one business, but having run 4 businesses before in the past. How did you guys meet? How did it all occur? And then did you always know you wanted to be entrepreneurs?
So I'm not going to share my entire personal life with the audience. I know that some people, they have a dating app, whatever, that I don't want to promote them on the Muslim dating app and all this.
Didn't exist back
Yeah,
then.
didn't exist. But no, actually, I was a student in America, in the US, coming from Algerian French background, grew up in France with a very Algerian culture, moved to the US. She's from Singapore, Chinese origin, and she also moved to the US very young. And when I was back in the US, practicing more and to be very careful about what I do and everything, and be mindful that the best religion is Islam, actually. And I was actually challenged through my cultural upbringing. The French people did a very good job to erase any bad and good in the human being, meaning removing shaitan and removing Allah from the microchip that every single human do. And that's how French are, the Almanin, like the atheistic model. So they remove secular model. So they make sure you grew up with this education, as I say, removing the bad and the good, shaitan and Allah. So you grew up in a very open-minded, godless society. But then when I went to the US, you see a church there, you see church there, you see too many church. Like, what's going on? How many Christians do they have here, like, you know? And then you see them, they always, God bless you. You will never see God bless you in a French-speaking tongue.
Wow, so it was a real culture shock.
Yeah, it was something I'm like, they really, in God we trust, in the. So you see very, you know, and I'm like, okay, I gotta study my religion better here. There's something wrong. Because the reality, I was challenging my own religion, saying, why are we the, quote unquote, the last message, the best one, and so on and so forth. So I did the opposite. I studied most of the religion backward, Hinduism, Christianity, all type of religion. I was taking world religion courses. And the last religion I was interested in was actually Islam, because I was like, I'm Muslim by name. So what do I need that? Eventually, when I start reading what Islam was all about, I'm like, it erases every single religion one by one. And I actually fully embrace purely my religion by denying and nullifying everything else. That was the most powerful. So when I saw that, I said, khalas, I'm not going backward. And then I was challenging the American because they were very open-minded on my religion, actually, Islam. And then you're proud of being who you are. You're 1,400 years of history. They're like 250, how many years? What is the American? Has no. In the San Diego in LA. And that's why actually I was more inclined into marrying, finally, and finding a sister that would align with my Islamic vision. As Algerian, we have a lineup of cousins that we can marry. You don't marry outside of the clan. But alhamdulillah, you know, with the blessing of my mother and father, I met Sharene in San Diego. where she was also discovering Islam, trying to understand the religion, and and convert from Catholicism to Christianity. And that's how I married in a masjid. Very simple marriage. She didn't ask a big mahar for like.
Should have known better.
Yeah, it was just at the time I was broke, so a mushaf was enough, and that's I got it for free almost. Joking. No, alhamdulillah.
You got that part out if you were.
No, leave it.
It's fine.
Leave it in, please.
Yeah, you know, I at the time, as I say, I had no money, nothing.
How was your parent reception back in Singapore then?
So I was already living in the US at the time. So my parents were also in the US. So it tends to open your mind a little bit. So that, you know, in Singapore, I always like to say we're de facto segregated.
The true stereotype of Malaysian-Chinese relationship.
Yeah,
She had
I'm
this.
trying if you let me.
Yeah.
So there's a bit, I always say we're de facto segregated because in school, you're channeled into the mother tongue.
Yeah.
Right, so if you speak Chinese, if you're Chinese and you speak Chinese, you go into a school that only teaches Chinese. And if you're Malay and you speak Malay, you go into a school that teaches Malay. So you never cross. It's very rare. Only when you start working do you actually cross the cultures. So I never met Islam until after I left Singapore. It's so strange. I think towards the end when I started working, I finished my O-levels and I took a job in between. You know, when you finish O-levels. That was the only time I had exposure to Muslims. And then I really learned about Islam when I left, in America. So for my parents, they came from this culture where, you know, didn't really understand. They thought Islam and Muslims were Malay.
Yeah.
So
There's a saying, you become Malay if you convert.
exactly. This is the Chinese in Singapore. They don't realize it's actually, you know, it comes from Arabia. Muhammad was an Arab. It wasn't a Malay. No clue. No clue of, you know, how much we don't mix. So at the beginning, it was very awkward for them. And to his point, it's almost like a betrayal of the culture. I want to say at the beginning. But fast forward, alhamdulillah, my mother became Muslim when my daughter was born. My daughter is now 20. My father just became Muslim not long ago. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah, you know, the human being, when they see the truth, and they see, you know, what it does for people, they don't hesitate.
And they had a big stereotype because the Chinese actually they are the elite in Singapore, and they look at the Malay, and I have to be frank, the way they look at the Malay as lazy. They don't want to work. They don't do anything. They just have children. So it's a complete different Chinese things. So you have this kind of, and the Malay, they're like, who cares about this dunya? Alhamdulillah, actually, I embrace that better. But yeah, they have this big gap, you know. Yeah.
They do have a lot of kids. I mean, mashallah.
Allah Mabarak, mashallah.
Otherwise, there'll be nobody less in Singapore.
But you in Malay, but Malay Singaporean, they have this kind of, you know, I would say prejudice is there and stereotyping and everything, you know, and they do live segregated, literally.
And also political point in Malaysia, like, don't become like Malay in Singapore. Become let's say,
SubhanAllah.
because I mean, technically Singapore were a Malay state, right?
Yeah.
For like long before.
Yeah.
Now it's no.
I mean, you can see Singapore from our offices. And
Yeah.
it's just, I will also, no. Gosh, Ashla, what a beautiful story. I was expecting all of that to come out in this, and also to be talking about the political and cultural states of Singapore and Malaysia. But there you go. Everything you could expect a Muslim money talk. Bring this back to Saudi and Web3 especially. Web3, we addressed this a little bit before, but people being a little bit worried about it, they've felt there'll be negative stereotypes because of the likes of MDEX, crypto crashing, all of that. Have you guys faced similar sorts of, I guess, stereotypes here in Saudi?
Yeah.
People view it quite negatively and maybe are less trustful, or is Saudi quite open to Web3 already?
Yeah. I'll give you a lot of great insight of what's happening. Of course, we've been building now for the past 2.5 years, so we have some history, present and future vision. So first of all, the location, Saudi Arabia, the largest Arab economy in the world and in the region, strong population. You know, I compare Saudi Arabia to Malaysia, strong local population and everything. So you have a country with citizens. Next, you have Qatar, Dubai, and if you want to look at Dubai, for example, 90% of expat. You cannot build a country on expat only coming and doing this. Of course, it's also a place where every type of innovation is welcome, but is, as I say, easy come, easy go in Dubai. So they attracted all the Web3 community, and people now in the region, they look at Dubai as a magnet for Web3 blockchain. And that's the place to be for all the Web3 community. And people, they're like, Morrad, you have to move to Dubai. I say, no. I'm going to be the one, you call it whatever you call it now, Mr. Web3, they are calling me here in Riyadh or KSA, but I believe in the future of the kingdom and what the kingdom has to offer from the 2030 vision, but not only that, everything around, from cultural standpoint, sport, activity, entertainment, everything is happening here in the kingdom. You want to see the best players in the world, you have to come to the kingdom. You want to see the best fighter in the world, you have to come. You name it. So they did a good job. So you cannot, as an entrepreneur, you have to be smart. You have to go to the next wave of growth. Location, location, location. This is a prime real estate for startup. Riyadh, I don't need to go anywhere. The VC are coming to me. Team Draper came here. A16Z are coming. Everybody's coming here. That's the first thing you have to know. Second thing, the kingdom is doing it outmost to help all the ecosystem, Web2 ecosystem, any type of development, funding, accelerator program, giving you talent. They have top university, by the way, in the kingdom. So you have a pool of talent as well. Of course, we're lacking top talent from all over the world, but with the welcoming of the Mumaiza premium visa, which I'm now one of the holders, they welcoming top talent. Now, for the Web3. It's still, quote unquote, as the government, crypto is an issue. So when you're going to talk to, I talk to different people. You have the venture capitalists who have no access to invest in blockchain crypto investment because the LPs have banned them to do so because there is no yet a regulator in the kingdom to do that. Then, but the funny things now, joke, 20% of the Saudis have at some point bought some crypto, which is one of the fastest, 20% at one point bought some crypto.
Wow.
So it's one of the fastest growing crypto adoption in the world.
Okay.
It's crazy what's happened.
It's like 6-7 million people.
Yeah, it's huge. Funnily speaking, people who are mining crypto. I was visiting some farm outside of Riyadh, and they were mining. They were miner here in the kingdom 5, 6, 7 years ago, even today, mining different type of altcoins and everything.
So they get it.
They get it big time. So
Why are they more open than other places?
look, they have disposable income. They have free electricity.
Demographically, I think 60% less than age 30. So there's a very young population.
So you have
Very digitally native and digitally savvy.
and gamers.
Gamers, yes, absolutely. And also, there's not that many things you can do to invest money in. Right? If you have, like you said, disposable income and you wanted to invest your money in something Sharia-compliant, there's really not that.
Not even they will go. So they are very entrepreneurial by their DNA. For example, for the mining, I was shocked. Long story short, I was trying to raise money, not through VC, but through local, because I knew most of the local had crypto. Say, hey, if the guy has Ethereum or Bitcoin, stuff like that, it'd be easy for me to close him as an investor, because I see you invest in blockchain business. So I went through the angel road to raise the first money. And what was funny, I see some local guy older than me, and I'm starting to talk about my project. I'm telling him, and he's like, which coin are you going to use? I'm like, how do you know about coin? He said, I'm mining. I'm like, what mining? I go to his farm, a few kilometers away. You know the guy. And then no mention. And I go to his farm. And somewhere in between palm trees and everything, I see a big block. I see what it is. All rings. And he was mining. Wow. Yes. Mining, he put like $500,000 in mining rigs and everything and was mining different coins, started with Ethereum and everything. So they understood the game. So I was like, okay, the best way for me to raise is through people like him. So I raised through a network of people who understand what I'm doing. Long story short, the kingdom actually closed one eye in that industry. So you have a no-no for crypto, but you have an okay for token. Okay, you don't have an exchange yet, you don't have this. But the reality now, for 2 years it was a no-no, but what you see the big potential in the kingdom in when you see the kingdom investing actually in crypto project, and people, when I tell them that, say, how is it possible? The reality is that Neon Fund invested $50 million in one of the largest accelerator program or investment fund crypto focus, which is Animoca brand. So Animoca brand actually raised $50 million with who? Saudi government. Saudi government actually directly on crypto project because they're all crypto project. Wow. What that tells you, something's gonna happen pretty much. That's the signal. Second signal, last year, a UK-based largest investment and accelerator program called Outlier Venture, a friend of mine, Stefan, got money from who? NTTP, to launch the first crypto-focused Web3 program in the kingdom. Again, most of the investment come from PIF.
So there's a concerted effort to bring new crypto or Web3 startups here. Are they seeing homegrown Saudi companies or more people coming in to the country?
I'll tell you. So the last one I want to mention is Adverse Venture. Adverse Venture is the first Web3 blockchain investment firm who invested in 60 startups globally and set up office here last year. Okay. And they're one of my investors. Now, to go back to your question, what's the future of technology? What's the future of, do we need an extra 1 minute delivery last mile company? So how fast do you want? You want an injection of your food through well, I mean, no, honestly. So I deliver in 5 minutes, half an hour, 10 minutes. What's next? You know, so that's the reality. How are you going to improve? Sick and tired of those boring business to be, even for fintech solution. Tired, you guys are building just to please the bank. You're not reinventing the bank. Same thing for any industry. Now you have the buzzword AI. They're all generative AI. There's few players who really build AI, and it's all AI, nonsensical words. The reality, if a country, a nation, wants to lead the world, they need to invest in technology. And what is this technology that's really going to transform economy, efficiency, transparency, blockchain, open ledger? If you want to become the best country in the world, the fastest country, you have to automate all that, and you have to have a smart government who will deploy all these tasks, and only through technology. So that, to tell you, young population growth, technology, everything will be setting up here. If you invest in that, Saudi Arabia will be leading the world in terms of anything you mentioned, and they will attract talent as they are doing now, to make sure, and Muslim talent from all over the world, they want to come and build this nation based on that principle.
Are there mainly startups from the outside entering, or are you seeing...
Exactly.
There's a little bit of both. There is some organic startups that we know of, but yeah, I think a lot of them do come from
Je peux répondre sur cette question. Two things that are interesting. Saudi diaspora are one of the brightest in the world. Saudi diaspora. Saudi intellect are all over, working for Google, working for Silicon Valley, working for all over. Actually, as a matter of fact, when the Crown Prince started to attract the talent, the first thing he did the Saudization, and he brought back all those super smart people to build their country. And they were leading big company outside, Silicon Valley. Okay? So you have a pool of extreme talented people running the show. Now what you need to have the outside talented, like in deep tech, blockchain, AI, of course, still very difficult to build this pipeline of talented developers and everything. But if you bring the expat, so you have a mix. Like 60% of the expat coming and setting up at the discount here and taking advantage of everything that's happening. And you have a huge university pool of talent that join And as a matter of fact now, for the past 5 years, when we first come here with our first startup, we didn't meet so many tech entrepreneurs. And now we have so many unicorns coming from Saudi local talent. So it's happening. La mayonnaise is taking shape, my friend. That's what it is.
So do you have any advice to a Web2 fintech
Web 2.
who's looking to enter?
Innovate or die, you know. I'm sorry to say. I believe the future is, if you haven't yet in your roadmap plan for Web 2.5, Web 3, honestly, just go big or go home and just forget about it.
You heard it here, Monzo, Revolut, starting. You got to get on the route there. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. We're running a little bit short on time, but I just wanted to get one final thing from you. What advice would you give to people today who are looking to move to Saudi, to maybe enter the market, to come up with something? What do you think they should be focusing on?
I think generally speaking, we talk about startups, which is the field that we understand. First of all, you got to build a real product that is multitudes better than whatever the existing solution is. So that has to be the basis, because then nothing else will work. You know, you can move anywhere you want in the world, but eventually this will all go away. So that's the foundation. Now, particularly in Saudi Arabia, the doors are wide open now. And it is a time like no other time, where there's opportunity, there's still multitudes of problems to be solved, and they're welcoming people with pretty much open arms. And I would say you guys are already a little bit late. So if you had come maybe a year ago, you would see it was even easier. Now it's getting a little bit more challenging because more and more people are coming. So seize the day, essentially. And a lot of people, strangely enough, they still see Saudi Arabia as this very mysterious, strange place. But as soon as you visit, you see that you have to come. So just make that trip, and you will see, you'll discover, where you can fit in.
You know why I hate to let her speak before me? Because she sometimes steals some of my tagline,
It's the opposite.
Yes. So she's building the company, and I'm the business guy and developing this. But sometimes anyway, I give it little late. You guys are late, definitely late. What's happening? Let's be frank. There is Ben Salman, His Excellency, His Highness, mashallah, when he came like 7 years ago, he said, I want to become the Renaissance of the world. And actually, he did execute on that. There were nobody. We were all like, what is he talking about, the guy? I still have to go to Silicon Valley, Singapore, France, UK to raise capital. There were 2 or 3 VC at the time. 2 or 3 VC. Actually, you had to be really good friend with the VC who say no to you, because you're married. Your guy, if he say no to you, you're dead. Cannot raise capital. Bunch of angel investor, because the region is rich. But the VC were few. Now you have maybe hundreds of VC. Look at that. And the Saudi Arabia is writing checks.
Yeah.
It's one of the leading investment hub now. And every week you hear new VC. So, what I want to say, let's frank, Brexit and all this kind, you guys are dead. British, forget about it. Europe is starving. Yeah. Europe is starving. Actually, America is actually breaking down the German industry, which is a driver for the European economy, and taking them piece by piece. BMW and Mercedes-Benz will become like New York brand companies. So, they're all going to take away whatever Europe has. And that's what it is, that's the reality. All the talents are moving out. So you have an old, and by the way, European in general, they produce a quarter human being per year, per couple. And you have like 2-3 kids in the so just in the demographic principle already, they are already dying. Okay, that's the reality. The Muslim community is the fastest also growing population in the world, and the youngest population in the world. So you have all these elements in Middle East, Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia. The center of the world by default is still you know, the kingdom, Saudi Arabia. So what if you put all this element together, you put all this together, any startup, my advice, wherever Muslim, non-Muslim, but I encourage my Muslim brothers, and I don't understand why there's so little, blockage. Non-Muslim are coming more than Muslim startup in the region. I'm like shocked. What is the blockage here? What's going on? You have a country where you can pay 5 times a day. You have a masjid. You have 1 hour flight from Mecca, Medina.
So you're saying you're not seeing many Muslim startups?
Not enough. They are still like, oh, I'm okay in America. This enjoy in France, they're still enjoying, like we call it, AC and hot water. You know, because in the country back home maybe they don't have hot water. And we have hot water and cold water in the kingdom as well. You know, if it's what attracted you and your parents to those countries, and I'm saying that because Algerian diaspora, when they came from Algeria to France, they were, oh, there's hot water. And I can imagine that, you know. If you want to have a, insight of what's going to happen next, Saudi Arabia will create a zone similar to Hong Kong, China, pretty much looking at more the Hong Kong model versus the Dubai model, with a free zone where any type of technology can have existence in that free zone, NEOM. And then you can cover the entire Middle East with that. But they are very smart. They are going methodologically, or whatever you say it in English.
Step by step.
Step by step. They also try to be careful because they don't want to give, free license and then cancel it. And then you have the concept of Sharia-compliance and everything. Yes. They try to really be... I mean, I see a lot of debate in the UK. The guys like, I'm getting married. How are we going to be... can I take my wife into building something? I don't advise it, to be honest. Yeah, I forgot to mention that on the podcast. Yeah, it's not an easy play. But if
I was asking the guys here and there.
if you survive, if you survive the first business, because unfortunately, if you put women and men together in the same, first of all, you have income coming together in the same. So it's more challenging because you don't have another diversification. Plus, it is a young couple fight a lot, and through business you fight even more. And then if you survive, actually, we had a big fight at the beginning, subhanAllah. And we survived this because she's really extremely the opposite of who I am, and I'm extremely the opposite.
Cross.
Exactly. Usually, yeah.
Fire and water.
Exactly. So this is, and that was kind of.
Wear your white.
Usually I wear white
and. Be,
usually I'm white and black and.
Opposite color.
Yeah, opposite color.
So then you copied me.
Yeah. So this is so that's why it's an advice to make sure that we can do it behind the scene if you want to record.
Still recording?
Yeah.
Here we are. Is that one? Yeah, that one's still going. Did you look at that?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So that's good. You have content. So it is important that so if you survive this difficult first, I would say, hype. Then, alhamdulillah, you notice that, okay, I know what I do best. She knows what she does best. And then you give this freedom. Then it could be the best, combination.
I guess it made you guys stronger.
Yeah, stronger. And we we live our life on our own term. That's the beauty of it. Because imagine you working for a company, she does something, and then, so the way we did it is really becoming very unique in that sense. That we can, take our holidays when we want. We work mostly remote with the team.
It solves the mahram problem. I don't have to deal with, I have to, no mahram, I can't go.
Yeah, that was a no for me from day one. When we got married, I said, the only person you will work with will be me.
But then does it bring reservation from investors seeing couple?
People do ask, actually. And then Tim Draper did ask, he was like, what if you have to fire him? The question was directed to me, what if you have to fire him? He did ask, and I was like, we'll cross that.
Can you imagine?
Come to it.
Yeah, so now the married couple as a non-Muslim startup founders, what's happening, the reality, a lot of VC would say, oh, I don't want to invest in married couple.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So, but the reality, when you look in the most successful startup are all built by married couple. So it's kind of funny.
Kind of family linkage. I remember when we got into Techstars London, there was a big thing because one of the co-founders, the biggest shareholder is my father.
Yeah.
So they said the riskiest startups to invest in are married couples and then father-sons relationships, because there's a power dynamic in between father
I
and
mean,
son.
it's probably not untrue. It's probably true.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just depends. So if you have like a track record like we do,
Yeah.
then it becomes the safest startup.
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, they had been together for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
What are the odds of another startup, let's say the founders, they fight, they just started working together 2 or 3 years.
Exactly.
Famous case of Tinder and Bumble, right? Where I just got as bad as it could do at that.
Yeah.
She leaves and starts a rival startup.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there is a lot of interesting, but again, if you cannot handle the heat and you want to protect your family and your marriage, business at the end of the day is not the ultimate. Yes,
Yes.
and then but, it's very important. At the end of the day, it's not also a fast race. It's not it is a marathon. So you have to also pace yourself. So most of the time you need to find, of course, the right founder to spend a lot of time with you. It's actually like being married.
Yeah, you've already gone through a selection process
Exactly.
with each other.
Yeah.
So this was just an extra step.
Yeah.
Gosh. Thank you so much for all this behind the scenes content. It's a really interesting one because we never had a married couple. We never had 2 guests on at the same time. And we've never had 4 different accents as well. In our podcast. So we have
yeah.
French, I think almost like American,
Generic, I have a generic accent.
international.
American, British, and then the Malaysian. Yeah. No, yeah.
There you go.
Allahumma barik, Allahumma barik. Look, there is a lot of, for example, a question that comes into mind. A lot of people say, what makes a life insurance halal?
Yeah.
Actually, the insurance itself, if it's done properly, it's halal. But the reason you cannot use conventional insurance is because they are using interest, riba, gharar, uncertainty, and gambling as well, which is masir.
Yeah.
So those 3 elements actually makes a Muslim not allowed to.
But the concept of insurance, there's nothing inherently non-halal about it.
No.
It's just how it's performed.
How it's performed. So as that's why Takaful removed those 3 concepts of riba, gambling, and masir, gharar, uncertainty as well. So when you remove those 3 elements from that and you give back the fund to the community, then you have a perfect Sharia compliance model. And then the investment fund should also align and invest in Sharia compliance company as well.
I guess the other benefit of building this on the blockchain is that you don't have to worry about the licensing and the regulation.
Yes.
Actually, or like, what license do you have?
So,
Yeah.
so the thing with this is that we can launch, but if you truly want to scale, you really want to be regulated because people don't know how else to evaluate whether something is trustworthy.
Yes.
So what we did was we actually went to Singapore because the holding company is in Singapore. And we submitted a legal opinion that examines the legality of our business under the Insurance Act and the Payment Services Act. And we submitted this to Monetary Authority of Singapore. So we engaged with them actively to say, hey, this is what we're doing. Is it okay, etc., etc. And there are no laws on the books for what we do. Because as much as insurance is such a complex product, a lot of people don't understand it. But what we're doing is outside of the norm of insurance, which is why we always like to say we're an insurance alternative. Yeah. Because if you look right into what we do, it's not insurance. It's a mutual fund, it's a club, it's an association, it's not for profit. And so it's kind of challenging at this point to get regulated as much as we would like to, because there's simply no laws on the books.
You remind me a lot of FIDA. I don't know if you've heard of them in the UK, but they're disintermediating home mortgages, creating a Sharia-compliant way of doing it, which is entirely equity-based. So similarly, it's funds, people invest into a fund together, which then purchase houses and move people into them. They try to get regulators and spoken to the UK regulators on 3 different occasions. But the regulators don't really know how to deal with them because it's not a typical debt-based mortgage product and they feel like it doesn't fall within their scope. So for now, that's how they're functioning. But I do understand that there is a hurdle if you want to get mass market adoption.
Yeah.
You need to that licensing gap.
So for us, of course, already is DeFi project. Even if we want to get regulated, we're not touching the fiat money. So the beauty of what we're doing is actually people are paying in USDC stable coin. And eventually you could use CBDCs. You can pay with any kind of cryptocurrency. The reality is what the blockchain technology, Takadao, is just a software technology that you can use. So we don't need license to be a software operated company. That's one thing. The second thing is that in terms of the licensing shouldn't come from us. It comes from the decentralized autonomous organization. That the DAO technology is actually being now validated in many jurisdictions. That's where we get our in. So now you can go in Ras Al Khaimah, have a DAO. You can go to Switzerland, have a DAO. You can go to Liechtenstein, have a DAO. Singapore has a DAO. So the DAO actually can register as a non-profit organization, and that's why we're going through that channel. So you have to divide both. Technology play for our investor, they invest in the right thing, no risk at all because it's technology play. Yeah. And then in terms of the regulator, it's not us who has to be regulated, it's the DAO, and the DAO is being 7 jurisdictions. Actually, there's 2 now in the US as well, welcoming the DAO structure. So that's how we play in, and we have to bet on the future, and that's what it is.
But yeah, the idea is that if you have a large enough community, you come to us and say, I want to do some, protection fund for this community for specific risk, we can help you build it.
But that's if the roadmap in the future. That's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
We could have thousands of DAO, thousands of insurance, no worries.
Have you guys spoken with? We have a shared investor. Wahid Ventures or Wahid X. Have you guys spoken to them about their community?
Yes, so Wahid, one of the, mashallah, great investors. The community is also massive. Yeah. We are planning on rolling up something with them, particularly in Malaysia. There will be something interesting because Takaful Malaysia Takaful is huge in Malaysia. So we try to roll something up with them. They're heavily regulated, which make them a very little move into what they can do, but their users are free. So the thing is to find the right combination. We are finally bringing a pure Takaful play global for them, and I think that's be an exciting moment when everything comes off. Yeah.
And just to understand a bit more, how is the key?
Sorry, we should introduce him. He's Wasab, our head of data. Is Wasab appearing on camera?
Yeah, no worries.
How does the claim work? Because is that a human intervention as well? And how does the investment with, for example, we say we have to fund to invest?
Yeah.
What's the effect?
Excellent question.
And then how to pay out for the
Okay, so let me talk about the investments first because that's a little bit easier. Yeah. Now, what we have is again, everything is more or less fully automated. So we've defined these rules whereby we said, okay, for the first 3 months of cash flow, which we need for the fund, and again, cash flow needs our offshoot of risk, etc. We will take this, and these can only go into protocols, which can be liquidated within 24 hours.
This is all coded.
Yes. Exactly. So then these protocols have to be DeFi on-chain protocols that we are not controlling. So we are not like managing the funds. We're not picking tokens, none of this stuff. We say, okay, these are the ones we're going to use. Everybody agrees to it, and then we just deploy the funds there. Then it goes crescendo. It's like, okay, the 6 months cash flow, you need to be able to liquidate within 7 days. Then the 1 year cash flow can be up to 6 months before we, lock up period, etc., etc. So those are the investment strategies. Now, when it comes to the long-term investments, we actually place them with digital asset managers. And here is where we get wealth managers and asset managers to actively manage the funds. So they're the ones who are now picking the portfolio, etc. Now, these guys obviously have to be approved by the DAO members, right? So we have a vote, we have a proposal, we have a vote, and people say, okay, yes, we're going to place our funds with these guys. And these should be regulated.
It should be just within Takadao managers or outside?
No, not us. Definitely not us. Anything but us. We try to stay neutral as this. So it's always going to be a third-party player. So, there are a bunch of us, mashallah, working in this space. You have Marhaba, you have Facet, you have a bunch of different...
Sharia-compliant as well.
Yes, everything has to be
Sharia. Yeah, all has to be Sharia.
So this is on the investment side. And what we will be launching very soon is, because we're already doing all this work, and our work here is really to build that dashboard where we're exposing what are the things that are being invested in. So we are allowing people to track the fund performance, etc., in real time.
Yeah. So the claim system, we have a blind system. She can elaborate on that. The payment of the claim, the payout of the claim.
Yes. So this is on the investment side. Now on the claim side, what we made a very deliberate choice at the beginning. We said, look, if we are involved in managing the claims, then it's no longer decentralized, number one. And number two, there's always a temptation to deny the claims, right? Because you want your fund to have more money. So we said, okay, let's take this out of our hands and let's create a system whereby the members themselves can approve the claims or deny the claims. All right. So we call this a verifier system. So the members will opt in into being a verifier. Every time there's a claim, we push out a notification and say, hey, who wants to verify this claim? So there's a standing pool of verifiers. They will then say, okay, I want to do it. And there is the 3-stage process. So stage 1 is documentation. We have the death certificate, we have the police certificate, we have the medical certificate. And for each one of these documents, 3 people are verifying. And they have to come to a consensus. So we will give them a checklist. Does this match with the official format? Is the information provided the same as the KYC? Is the method of...
Bouge un petit peu comme ça. Voilà.
The cameras,
Non, ouais, mais...
they can see you.
Ouais. Soit, ouais. Parce que j'arrive pas à le voir de l'autre côté. You're blocking my... Just...
Why don't you sit up and... Why does me always have to move? See? Anyway, you see, now you distracted me. I forgot what I was saying.
the claim...
So they have to come to a consensus. And if they come to a consensus, then it moves to stage 2. Now, if they don't come to a consensus or the consensus is this is not authentic, then it's denied.
It's majority based.
Exactly. And then it comes to stage 2, and this is now manual verification. So here we're calling the government registrar, calling the employer, calling a family member. Is this individual still around? How did he pass away? How from what cause of death?
And don't forget the whole promise of Web3 blockchain.
Just let me finish, please. So again, consensus. So we have multiple people make multiple phone calls, and if they all come together and say, yes, everything checks out, then it's approved. Now, the key piece of this is once that process is done, everything is put on chain. Now, we don't mention any personal data. It's just wallet addresses and results. But at least the claimant, if he gets denied, he can see where did it fail, at which stage, and which document was it.
So you need to empower them as well for them to execute this process.
Yes.
Because for regular someone who looks for alternative like insurance, they just put money, they don't care.
This is correct.
The issue will come later when there's something that happened, then they have to fight with the insurer, right?
Yeah.
But this, it seems like you have to empower the members to when they sign up, okay, we have to do this as well, right?
Yeah. You know, that's the beauty, that's transition exactly what I was going to say. That's the beauty of blockchain, Web3, decentralized. Yeah. It's all the power of the community. Yeah. So the community has the power to do that. There's something called, as we all know, proof of work for, proof of stake or proof of work. Now, finally, with Takadao, you have the proof of useful work, that really does something that... so the training actually, not everybody will do it, but there will be a lot of members in a certain country that generating some, token money or return to do that kind of work, go through a process of training, then you get validated as a verifiers and so on and so forth, and then you can do the proof of work, useful work within the blockchain things, which create tons of jobs, tons of opportunity, tons of everything. At the end of the day, it's not very complicated to give you phone calls, verify and everything. The most important, you will honesty through not colluting way of getting those people getting together and verifying everything on chain. That's the beauty of it. The last but not least is that we still believe that the DAO member might have maybe a conflict of not deciding if the claim is valid or not. At that level, we will hire a claim professional manager to settle this claim, And at the end of the day, the community is not are here to pay claim. That's the beauty of it. There's no profit seeking. Nobody's making money out of it.
Do you think the frame is right? It seems like unify the whole ecosystem to us together, from the investment side, the underwriting side, or the everything like the consumer side as well, to understand. It's probably, I feel like this is a big challenge because you need the whole ecosystem, right?
No.
I mean, you never know. Timing is something we cannot control.
You have a time to time,
So what we focus on is just we need to build a product that is so good and that people don't even think about these other factors. They don't even really think about how does the engine work. They're just like, oh, nice shiny car. Oh, look, drive very fast, very reliable. That's what we focused on. And inshallah.
Yeah, and then to go back also to be more concrete on the timing and adoption and everything. We know that the adoption of crypto is the fastest growing adoption in the world, in any industry now. It's happening. We're still very small amount, maybe 1% of the total global population is on chain, which is nothing, but look at the potential upside here. It's like a blue ocean. And then you have all these degen, all young people who are kind of crypto native through gaming, through everything. Are you building for the past? Or are you trying to build for the future? Yeah. And they all actually understand the airdrop concept. I'm getting that, I'm getting that. So there is already an economy that's coming. And our vision is to build for this future generation. A startup should build for the future generation, not for the past.
Not for the past.
Exactly.
What's a beautiful way to end this?
Thank
For the third time.
Oh, all right. Morrad and Sherene.
Jazakallah khair.
Thank you for listening to the Muslim Money Talk podcast. If you like what you heard, then please subscribe to Muslim Money Talk wherever you might have been listening to this. Give us a like and share it with someone who you think might be interested. It really, really helps us out. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, and see you next time.